those particular people that happen to be in the power at that time? Or, you know, why here and not there?
Well, these are the things that historians often don't actually know the answer to. But the key problem with Boston is how little land there was. It's an isthmus.
Yes.
And there's just, and you have to understand that hilltop was no use to anybody at all.
You mentioned that in the book.
Yeah. And meadowland is what they want.
Yeah,
and there's
Newtown, Cambridge, the land was terrible.
Right, and there's very, very little meadowland in Boston, in the Boston of 1630.
Yeah.
So that means that it was actually a bad, the farmers were lucked out. They did not luck out when they came. People who wanted to farm did not fare well in Boston. So you had to start looking outside the town. Almost from day one, you had to look outside the town. I mean, Winthrop's great farm was up in what we call Chelsea, and that's where his farm was actually. So, so geography plays a role here in the peculiarities of Boston, plus the fact that a group of the patentees of the Massachusetts Bay Company settled here, the men who were the original shareholders, and they, because they were shareholders, they had unique access to land because the company had no money to pay them off, to reimburse them for their investments, so it gave them land. So they had access to rights to land that the ordinary person didn't have.
But there was always an undercurrent of economic necessity, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's
yeah,
bottom line money, paying back the bills.
Right. So those were the two main tensions. As I say, the question was, did they intersect? And you want to know something very, very peculiar? No one had ever asked this question before in all these studies. So the field was open to me to investigate this, and I would say I'm hoping others will continue to do this after me, and they may well not accept my relatively benign view of how the process unfolded in most places. That's to be seen. But then there were a bunch of other issues. I'm going to go through them quite quickly here. There was the question of access to timber. And again, you might be stupefied to know that within 5 years, towns were enacting ordinances to ensure their supply of timber. You think, my place, millions of trees. But right close to where you were, and given the amount of firewood it took to sustain a household during the winter, which was gigantic, there weren't enough trees. And so there's a struggle over access to trees. Pigs. Now, none of us has ever probably seen a runaway pig. I have never seen a runaway pig. But a runaway pig will destroy a garden in an instant. Then if you're going to have runaway pigs, you have to have fences. And the amount of fencing that's required is immense. Now, these are wooden fences, and they decay like that. So you build a fence, and the next year it's out of repair. It's been knocked down. And then roads. I didn't talk about roads very much, but summoning the labor, the workforce to create a road, where a road is going to run, because it's an economic advantage, as it is to this day. And then, so all those littler aspects of economic life, timber, pigs, fences, roads, are immensely contentious, actually. A book could be written about the pig matter. And then the next issue is who does get to vote, and who wants to hold office or doesn't want to hold office. I'm going to pass by that for a moment. The next question is, and this is a point that I make very strongly in Chapter 2, and it comes back to less strongly in Chapter 5, the Cambridge chapter. The population isn't static. People are moving around. It's astonishing. It's about a 60% turnover every 10 years in these towns, and even higher in some. And of course, Cambridge is peculiar because the entire town left in 1635-36, and then Shepherd moves in and his group buy the houses, the empty houses, and settle up a new town. Cambridge, the new town for Cambridge. So people are always coming in to the town who are outsiders, not ideologically, not religiously, but outsiders in terms of they weren't there to get the first land distribution, the original land distributions. So there's a big, big question that roils the waters what to do about these people. Whether to admit them as inhabitants and give them rights or not. Again, in Cambridge, there's less evidence of tension, but in many, many towns there's a lot of tension about this. And then another issue is the economic cycle, because prosperity is not a given, and the 1630s were a very, very hard time, and the people came over with capital, and they spent every penny of it, and they're impoverished. And then when the Long Parliament is called in England in 1640, people stop coming over, which means there's no more cash coming into the economy.